Solitude takes a lot of shapes, and this is one of them, edging my car out into the early morning suburban dark. I look forward to some skiing, but know I have a 10-hour drive north from Maryland to Vermont. I drove through the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel, one of 27 million vehicles a year to go under the Patapsco River. The tunnel looks like an underappreciated piece of jewelry. About 2 hours later, I crossed the Delaware Memorial Bridge, another construction project finished in the decade I was born, the 1950s. I feel a sense of companionship with a trucker driving that 10-wheeler. The first person to drive through the tunnel and across the bridge was a bank clerk known as Mr. First, who was obsessed with collecting firsts and collected 547 of them. Before I know it, I'm in upstate New York, where a snowstorm sweeps in. Here, plow drivers keep me company on the road. Finally, I crossed the border into Vermont, which my father always treated as a magical event. My parents were both born in Vermont. They weren't partygoers or people who talked for hours on the phone. I was an introverted child, but later became an extrovert, learning to love cities and crowds. But now I like to circle back to these quiet towns, back to the land of my parents, where harsh sounds are hushed by the snow. After a long day's drive, I was ready for a hot meal and a warm bed. The next morning, I head to a ski resort, Okemo. My father was a sign painter in a town about an hour away, and he had once painted a sign for the resort. It's what skiers call a bluebird day. The prospects for a good day of skiing are promising. I worked on a construction site once in Quechee, Vermont, with a Mormon cabinet maker who had never tasted alcohol. He liked to ski though. He said he imagined that being drunk was like being on top of a mountain just before you start skiing down. There are some icy spots at the top, and the metal edges of my skis scrape on the ice. I've often wondered why I love skiing so much. To me, it's a form of meditation, since to get safely to the bottom of the mountain, I have to stop the hamster wheel of my extraneous thoughts. I have to focus on what I'm doing now, shut out the past and future, and pay attention to my body and the next 50 feet or so of trail. well takes an odd combination of relaxation, so I stay loose and take the bumps like a spring, and exertion as I drive the skis with my hips and legs to move through turns and keep my balance. At its best, it's like dancing on snow. The next morning, snow had fallen, but the sidewalk plows and the highway plows had already been out. The villages I drove through looked completely different, as if they had been painted in a palette of off-whites and grays. The top of the mountain also had a different look, and I felt like I was getting into my skiing groove. A skiing instructor once taught me to lean forward when I skied, to put pressure on the front of the ski so I would have better control. The temptation I had before when I faced a steep hill was to lean back, as if leaning back would slow me down, when it just made me lose the ability to steer my skis. I think about that ski lesson when I'm facing difficult times off the ski slopes, when the temptation is also to lean back out of fear. Now I know that leaning back is only likely to make me slip and slide. I try to lean forward, all the better to drive through conflict and chaos.
Oh, I love this.
In the end, skiing helps me to maintain mindfulness, that overused but still meaningful word. On my last day in Vermont, I woke up to even more snow. I was sad to leave, but felt lucky to see the landscape draped in soft white. The artist Andrew Wyeth once said that, quote, "I prefer winter and fall, when you feel the bone structure of the landscape, the loneliness of it, the dead feeling of winter. Something waits beneath it. The whole story doesn't show." I went through one of my father's beloved covered bridges. I think he was afraid they were going to go extinct, so he tried to capture them in his sketches and paintings. He'd be happy to know that they're still here. 3 hours later, I was on the Maine seacoast, on my way to friends and reflecting on my trip. I strive to excel, but have never been obsessed with being Mr. First. Making and keeping friends is one of my most important goals. I need to balance between solitude and intimacy. But that is a lot like skiing. When I lean into both of them, I slide safely downhill into the home of joy.